Hello and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Ottawa. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Ben Stark, and it looks like, oh wow, this is a nice one to start off. Is that Matt Nass versus Reid Duke?
Yeah. Yeah, you can recognize
like
Matt
that
from behind and Reid Duke, of course. In this format in general in Sealed, I think you're pretty happy when your opponent plays a basic turn one, because that means it's going to be tough for him to have a powerful mana draw with like good gold cards and everything.
Ooh, look what we have here, Matt Nass. A Grand Prix champion, by the way,
Yeah.
2 times now.
Yeah.
And it was in this format as well, though it was a team event, so it was a little different, but he's got a secret plans on turn 2, but a nice 2-drop on the other side there. That's a Chief of the Scale. Uh-oh, off to the races we go here for Matt Nass. BDM's dream draw here. Secret plans into a morph.
Yeah, and turn 2 secret plans is, incredibly powerful. Like we were talking about, on turn 2 that card's amazing. It has a downside of not necessarily doing a ton in the late game, still some. But I mean, if you can go Island Forest Secret Planes, Island Morph, like you're a good favorite in a game.
Now what is going on here with Reid Duke? He's got an Obzon banner out now. Not a card I see played that often. I'll only do those if I'm looking for something real specific, like, I just don't play those actually.
I'm not a huge fan of the banners, but the time I'll usually play it is if I'm playing 4 or 5 color and I need the extra sources. If I just can't get enough mana sources to cast my spells off 17 or 18 land, that's another +3 sources right there.
Right, okay, that makes sense. I mean, it's weird because the banners aren't that bad, right? Like reading the card, it's like, this is a perfectly fine deal. It ramps you, it fixes you, it even gives you a card back when you don't need it anymore. But I just don't find that I have the time.
In this day and age, the cards really do a lot.
Yeah.
And for 3 mana, you just, ramping by 1 is just not enough. But if you have powerful spells across all colors, getting 3 different additional mana sources, that can be enough. That can be a reason to play the banner.
Okay. You can see Reid Duke there with his Pantheon shirt. He, of course, tests with them for the Pro Tour. He's part of the Peach Garden Oath of Owen Turtenwald and William Huey Jensen. And he is from the upper part of New York, so this isn't too far from him. And we see this here. Ben, what do you think about this? He's got a Kintree Warden here for Matt Nass. He flips it up to draw a card, which makes sense. He wants to keep hitting his land drops. But how low do you go? Like, Kintree Warden, not one of the better morphs in the set, but it's really cheap to flip up. Do you just run that card if you've got secret plans?
It depends on your deck. I mean, if you're going to win in the air, if you've got a powerful late game and stalemating the ground is something appealing to you, then it's a pretty good card. It can stop a big creature. If your deck is looking to attack on the ground and win on the ground, then it's not a very good card. I mean, a 1/1 regenerator doesn't attack on the ground well, but it blocks on the ground well.
Right. Yeah, I actually like it for decks like this too, the Secret Plans deck, because basically I feel like Secret Plans gives me inevitability. Once I start, because it tends to chain itself together. Like you turn up a morph, you draw an extra card, you draw your card for the turn, hey look, it's a morph, and now you play it again.
Sure.
And you can kind of keep things moving forward, but you have to put special emphasis with Secret Plans on morphs that don't cost much to flip up.
Sure.
And Kintree Warden is one of the cheapest at just green.
And that's what we were just saying, right? Because if you have that inevitability, if you're going to draw extra cards consistently over a long game, you want the ground stalemated.
Totally.
You want to be blocking. You don't want to be attacking.
Yeah, so I actually think it's pretty decent, and this is actually, basically the only spot where I'm okay running that Kintree Warden. Normally I just don't. But.
Sure. I mean, I've ran worse cards in it, but I would say in most decks it is not something you're hoping to play with.
Exactly. All right, so Longshot Squad's going to pick up an Outlast counter, and an Enoch Bondkin hits the table as well, so that Longshot Squad's going to get first strike, and it's going to be able to tussle nicely with Matt Nass's Longshot Squad as well, so he's going to need to come up with something here. And
the Bondkin's a 2-drop I like a lot in Sealed because you can play it on turn 2, and then it can be effective in the late game too because of the Outlast.
Totally.
I really don't like a vanilla 2-drop in Sealed, like a Wetland Sandbar, but yeah, Bondkin, that's a 2-drop I'm really happy to see because it allows me to do something on turn and it stays active. It stays relevant even on turn 6, 7, whatever.
That's right. Now, it looks like Matt Nass has some pretty spicy stuff here in his hand. I see he's got an Icy Blast. There's also a Teamer Charm.
And that's a Blinding Spray, right?
Yeah, which
makes sense in his deck because we said he's looking to play long games and to be defensive.
I have brought that card in once out of the sideboard, and it was against a deck that showed me a total of 3 copies of Rush of Battle.
Sure.
And it was fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it was okay there.
It's an answer to a lot of things. Flying Crane Technique, Trumpet Blast, Rush of Battle, just any deck that's trying to swarm you in general. It's not a great card, but that's a card I would actually say is probably underrated. People probably do not board it in nearly enough.
All right, but it looks like Matt Nass decided for the Rattleclaw Mystic, he wants to keep drawing cards here.
Well, yeah, that's a no-brainer.
I think he can also Temur Charm off of it, right?
Which is going to be awesome, right? He's going to unmorph it, draw a card, and then cast Temur Charm.
Yeah, all on end step or whenever he feels the need.
Yeah.
All right, there's a morph from Reid Duke. And he's going to outlast his Bondkin here as well. And he's going to also outlast his long shot squad. So Reid Duke clearly gearing up for the longer game here. Continued to develop his board both vertically with those counters and also horizontally by casting a morph as well. So a nice efficient turn there for Reid.
And now Matt has to decide if he wants to draw cards or if he wants to wait on his spells, because he has the ability to unmorph the Mystic, cast the Temur Charm, fighting something, draw a card.
Yeah, and the coast is clear as well for that Temur Charm
Right.
with no, throttle or anything available.
Right, which is nice, but he's only killing like a vanilla-ish creature. He's not,
Yeah, he's going to kill like that morph.
or the more for the Bondkin.
Yeah.
And we don't know if Temur Charm could do more later, maybe.
Sure. But I think he feels the need to use his tempo and use his cards here.
Yeah, and I mean the key is drawing a card too, getting a card deeper.
Totally. And I think he's going to kill the morph.
Yeah, it makes sense.
He could kill the Chief of the Edge if he wanted. Ooh, it was a Pine Walker,
Yeah.
so a nice one.
I wouldn't have been looking at the Chief because it's only a 2/3, whereas the
Yeah.
Bondkin's going to keep growing.
But the Bondkin's already 3 power, right?
Well, doesn't the Temur Charm give +1/+1 or no? Is it just fight?
Oh yeah, you're right. It's +1/+1 in fight. You're
Right,
totally
so you could, yeah, so I think that's a close call between the Morph and the...
Okay.
But he has Water Whirl in hand, so he probably figures he can deal with the Outlast guys by just Water Whirling them.
He's
'cause-
probably just drooling at that, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, keep putting those counters on, no problem.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a long time to rebuild them to where they're going to be effective, so Water Whirl deals with them pretty nicely.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not like Matt's really pressuring Reid. He's looking to play a late game.
Right.
So I wouldn't say that the Water Whirl is going to be amazing on them. It's just they're not cards he's worried about dealing with
Right.
because he knows he can reset them when he wants to.
Totally. Yeah, and this is really working out well for Matt because that Secret Plans, it lets you play cards like Water Whirl, which have like a temporary effect on the board, even though he's not an aggressive deck. Water Whirl is best in like a Temur deck where you can be like, get these 2 blockers out of the way, take 1,000,000.
Water Whirl's a card that's a lot better in draft than sealed.
Yeah.
When you're looking to, when both players are looking to play a lot of removal and have the games go late, Water Whirl's not that effective. Whereas when you hit 6 and Water Whirl their guys, it's a huge swing in draft.
Totally. Very difficult to recover. And there is a Death Frenzy and now a debilitating injury off the top for Reid. He's also got a Sultai Flare in hand here. He's got 6 mana at his disposal, so he's going to need, or 7, mana. So he's going to need to figure out how he wants to proceed here. If he fires off the Death Frenzy, the coast is clear here. I mean, he will kill the Rattleclaw Mystic and the Warden.
I would be surprised to see that with Matt having all his mana up and with Death Frenzy having the potential to do more. I think most likely Reid will maybe make an attack, and then he'll probably outlast the Bondkin and cast the Sultai Flare.
That seems like a great turn.
Yeah, you can always wait on the Death Frenzy.
Totally.
Okay, what if Matt just morphs another guy or drops a two toughness guy, and Reid doesn't have any real 2 toughness guys he wants to get into play?
Right.
So I mean, if Matt blocked in a way, which I don't think is even possible on this board, where Death Frenzy killed an additional guy or something, then he might play it. But I would be surprised to see Reid play Death Frenzy into Matt's open mana just to kill the Rattleclaw Mystic and the Warden.
Yeah, it's not a ton of value.
This is the kind of spot I think that actually separates a lot of the pros, is that, a lot of players would think, ooh, 2 for 1. Ooh, let me get that Warden out of the way so I can attack and just slap down the Death Frenzy. But you can just, those same opportunities are going to exist turn after turn, and the opportunity to get more out of it occurs by waiting.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know Reid's deck. I don't know Matt's deck. It's possible that Reid will want to do it, but...
Here's a Blinding Spray for Matt Nass. And Reid can't really do anything about it, so he's going to get his card draw off of it.
So he's going to eat the Chief of the Scale, I guess. Double block it. It's the only thing he can kill. Take 1 damage.
Yeah, seems okay.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with this for either player.
I mean, this is a great play for Nass, right? I mean, he got the card back off of the Blinding Spray. He got to kill one. He basically got a 2 for 1 off of it.
Right. He's up a card.
Yeah.
But he's just taking out a 2/3 that wasn't too effective in this late game at this point anyway.
Sure.
A good turn. A good turn for Matt. Nothing that exciting as far as the way this game is developing.
Exactly. So the Bondkin's going to pick up a counter and the Sultai Flare is going to hit the battlefield here. And Reid's looking to just keep bolstering his board position. Matt Nass, on the other hand, is looking to go to Value Town here. He's trying to find another morph to keep that chain moving forward with the secret plans.
Right, and he just drew a card off the spray, a card for his turn. So like you said, once you start drawing all those cards, you just tend to draw into some more morphs, then you draw even more cards, and it can really go deep.
Yeah, totally. And Matt Nass definitely went deep here. The old main deck blinding spray, you don't see that one every day.
I really think that's an underrated card. I don't know whether it should be or shouldn't be in Matt's main, but games go long and are slow in this format. You know, it's hard to play around that. I mean, you can if you know they have it, but do not make these profitable attacks when they have 5 of them because they might have blinding spray.
I never play around it until they show it to me.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's not hard to get value out of that. If people are going to attack, you're going to be able to blinding spray, taking care of their other attackers for the turn, and then double block something, block something. It's very easy to eat a creature or two.
Like I said, the time I played, I did bring it in. I was actually impressed. I mean, you draw a card off it.
Right.
Like, that's... Like, worst case scenario, you fog them basically, and you get the card back, which is, you know, that's not a bad worst case scenario.
And there's a lot of cards that it makes look really silly, like you said, Rush of Battle, Trumpet Blast, Flying Crane Technique.
Totally. Oh yeah. Oh man, I haven't got to do it against Flying Crane Technique.
That's a card that I'm not saying is great, but I've been way more impressed with than I think most people value it at or use it.
Technique or spray?
Spray. Mm-hmm. I'm happy to play spray. Like, I'm happy to board it in at least, you know?
All right, well, it looks like Reid's decided to pull the trigger now.
He got that extra value, the extra morph, waited the extra turn. His Anik Bond King can potentially attack. Of course, Matt has decent mana to unmorph his guy. We have no idea what it is.
He's got 5.
Yeah, it could be, you know, and it's not even going to die right now anyway because of secret plans.
Right. So he might not even need to.
On the other hand, though, the Mystic will die, so he'll only have 4, so he basically won't be able to unmorph it later because most of the morphs cost 5 or more to unmorph.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like...
Snowborn Rider.
Snowhorn Rider. I would have said Glacial Stalker. I had the Reid, but I was wrong.
Yeah, it could be either of those, clearly.
Yep. Now, does Reid have an attack here? Remember, his creatures are shrunk down by 2 as well.
Right. Every creature that dies gains a life. That favors Reid by a little bit, not much. I think he can send his Longshot Squad because it's first strike and the same size as Matt's creatures.
Okay.
So Matt can't do anything against that, right?
No.
And then the Sultai...
It's a 3/3, yeah.
Right, the Sultai Flare can't attack. No, only the Longshot Squad can attack, but Matt has no good block on that. He just has to take the 3.
And Reid is going to Debilitating Injury to finish off Matt's Longshot Squad here.
Yep. Another life for Reid, plus Debilitating Injury doesn't often kill a 3/3, so this is good. Plus, that guy is scary because it's not a hill giant. That guy, over a long game like this, has the potential to grow.
Totally. I mean, Reid's doing it on his own side,
yeah.
So...
Reid's now like, okay, I'm ahead in life. I'm ahead on the board. Your 5/5 might be sort of not stopping me, but my guys are going to grow.
Right.
So, you know, I'll be able to attack through that 5/5.
I mean, he can attack next turn. He's got a 5/5 with first strike on his side right now.
Right. So, you know, this was good value for Reid all around.
Now, I see that Reid played his land as well, and that left him empty-handed.
Mm-hmm.
Do you usually keep a land in your hand, or do you play him out?
I mean, it's a tap land. We don't know what cards are in Reid's deck. He's going to want to sack that banner and get a card if he can. So in this exact position, I would definitely play the land. If it was a basic, I might not have played it. But knowing that Reid is going to be able to draw 2 cards when he wants to, he's going to spend 3 mana to cycle that, I'm not going to hold a tap land. I'm going to get the tap land in play.
He wants to cash in that banner.
Right. And he couldn't even do that without the Sandstep Citadel that he just played.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer to play it there.
All right, let's see what Matt can do. He has successfully kept the train moving along.
And Matt does have a lot of cards in hand because he keeps drawing cards.
Yeah.
He unmorphed that Snowhorn Rider. He drew another card.
Yeah, he's got 5 cards in his hand. All right, here's Waterworld to take down both of these, and he's actually going to attack here. He can't block the first striker anyway, so this is pretty aggressive, though, from Matt.
I'm not sure how much I love this play by Matt. Did the Waterworld give him the exact number of cards he needed for the Hooting Mandrills? Because that would be a reason to make the play.
We'll see if he leaves it. No, it didn't.
If I were Matt, I mean, I would probably have just played the Hoot and maybe passed the turn. I mean, I can see why he wants to get in the damage, but I don't know. I mean, I'm much bigger on bouncing the Longshot Squad because that's another 2 or 3 turns.
So you see what his plan is here, though. So he had Reid Hellbent, right, with no cards. And remember, Matt has Icy Blast. So now he's put 9 power up, which is going to be a 2-turn clock. And he's gonna be able to Icy Blast when Reid rebuilds his board and then hit.
Right, I get that, but why does he need to bounce Sultai Flare instead of Longshot Squad?
Sultai Flare instead of Squad.
Like, if I'm Matt, I'm looking to bounce both Outlast creatures that have grown twice each already.
That's true.
Like, I really don't understand. Like, even if you want to attack...
Because you know he's not going to block with Sultai Flare anyway.
He would just be chumping with
right.
it. He'd let him chump, yeah. I don't really get that bounce. And I wouldn't have done it main phase because Reid was Hellbent. I'm not worried about him top decking feet. If I were Matt, even if I wanted to attack...
Feet of Resistance you're talking about?
Right, but Reid's Hellbent. Yeah. So if I'm Matt, even if I wanted to attack, I would just attack with the Snowhorn Rider, and then after Reid didn't block, I would play the Hooting and Pass with 6 up.
Yeah.
And even though you're kind of telegraphing it, like, who cares? You just want to bounce those end of turn if he grows them, or immediately if he attacks with them.
Right, and it's not like Reid's in a position where he can play around it anyway, so...
And I really think that you lose a lot of value bouncing the Sultai Flare over the Longshot Squad.
Right. All right, now there's a Keru Bloodsucker. That's interesting. That's going to change the math significantly for Matt Nass here. His plan of tapping down Reid's team and hitting him twice doesn't quite pan out the way he wanted here, because now Reid can start, like if he sacks the Flare or if he sacks the Squad, he gains 6 life.
Right. It's going to be interesting. And Matt still has a ton of cards in hand.
Yeah. But now, and you can tell that Matt is now paused, and now he's like, all right, now what do I do? Because if it's not going to win in 2 turns, is it worth firing off the Icy Blast is what he has to decide now, and what other options does he have?
Right, because, I mean, he can't just start trading creatures or the Icy Blast won't be effective.
Right, especially with the, I mean, he needs both, one of either of these on to make it really good.
But he could definitely make an attack here without tapping anything down, because it would be pretty risky blocks for Reid. I'm not sure what Reid's going to do now. He just immediately takes it, which, you know, it could easily be right to take it. Mm-hmm. You certainly could contemplate some double blocks, but they're pretty risky.
Right. Force that away. He gets to loot because he's got Ferocious enabled.
Right. And we see it wouldn't have worked out well for Reid had he double blocked.
Right. And Nass is going to jump up to 12 life here from the Thornwood Falls. Now Matt knows Reid's hand, right? He knows all the cards in his hand.
Right.
Because the debilitating injury is what he drew last turn.
And even though the game got a little bit tighter, Matt's still in position to win with that Icy Blast. Because, I mean, now Reid's all the way down to 7.
Yeah, it's lethal. So Reid has to tread very carefully here.
Right.
Now, if he leaves up mana for his Keru Bloodsucker, then that changes things.
But he's going to get a whole second attack, Matt Nass, too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Reid could draw something, for all we know, during that 1 turn Reid top deck Student Blast.
Sure.
Or even just a good blocker plus the Bloodsucker might be enough to live if Matt doesn't have anything else.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little tough because Nass's creatures both have trample.
Right.
So there's no
block
easy
sack.
chump block. Yeah, nothing like that. You can't block sack.
It could be a tight game.
Trample will carry over. Yeah, this is shaping up to be a really interesting one. This isn't bad for round 4 either.
I think we're going to see good games in this format. I mean, obviously, you can't predict exactly how games are going to go, but, you know, I've played a lot of this format. Mm-hmm. I like it. There are formats where the limited format isn't good, and, you know, I'll stop doing the 8-4s and the dailies pretty quickly, and then there are formats like this where the games are fun, and I just can't get enough.
Yeah.
Day after day, I sign on Moto, before bed at Magic Online, and I do, 8-4 drafts, and I do 4-round sealed dailies, and I look forward to that all day.
All right, long shot squad now for Reid Duke, and he is going to go ahead and battle. He's left up just enough mana, even 1 extra, I guess, for his Keru Bloodsucker activation here as well. So he's got a little bit of an insurance plan lined up there as well. Unfortunately, the long shot squad's only a 3/3 here, so it's not going to...
It's not stopping anything, so it's going to...
Yes.
So when Matt attacks, it's going to force Reid to sacrifice the Sultai Flare.
The Flare, right.
Yeah.
So Flare's going to have to go bye-bye here. And there's a Jeskai Wind Scout from Matt Nass. And he's also got that Icy Blast in his hand still as well, though.
So this should be a pretty easy attack for Matt.
He just ships in there?
Yeah, I mean, he's got the Icy Blast for Reid's turn, and he's played this game to win with Icy Blast aggressively. There's no reason to think Reid has Kill Shot or something. Like, he left 3 up, but he would leave that up for the Bloodsucker.
Right.
So, I mean, if I'm Matt here, you know, I'm pretty happy to push both my guys into the red zone. The only thing he could be thinking is, what if Reid has a trick and gets a block and eat one of my guys, because then the plan is kind of foiled. But
He can also just Icy Blast.
Yeah, but the problem with that is then Reid can play a guy. I don't know. I mean, you're really worried about like such
scales.
few cards. Feet stops it anyway.
Right.
Scales on taps it, so that doesn't Icy Blast doesn't work against that anyway.
Right.
Like I mean, Awaken the Bear. Do you really think Reid's even playing that in his 4-color control deck?
No, it doesn't look like it.
So I mean, I really wouldn't Icy Blast here if I was Matt.
All right, Matt's gonna go for it though. He's gonna play it safe.
I mean, it's a whole extra turn they stay tapped.
It
if
is.
you do it on Reid's next turn.
Yeah, on his upkeep even you can play around those Feet of Resistance and stuff off the top.
Yeah. So
There is only one unknown card in Reid Duke's hand.
I mean, if this was for lethal.
Or did he play? Oh, he played his land anyway. So actually, he knows that Reid's got the Enoch Blondkin in his hand.
Oh, right. So
Yeah.
I see no reason to do this. Like, what is Reid going to do? Chump block with that long shot squad
Yeah, it doesn't
against a
seem
trampler?
likely.
Magic players, this is last call for the GP rebound.
All right, well, Reid is forced now to use his Carrier Bloodsucker to sacrifice the Sultai Flare so that he can stay alive.
Right.
He's going to gain 6 off of this and drain Matt for 2, so Matt's going to lose 2 life.
Right. Reid's still in hot water,
Yeah, well, he's up against it for sure.
but I do think you get a lot more out of that Icy Blast if you just attack here and then you pass a turn and then you Icy Blast.
Yeah,
But yeah, Matt's still looking pretty good. Reid's got to draw something nice here.
right. Now, he does have one Obzon Banner card sort of locked up there too, though it could put a pretty big constraint on his mana.
Yeah, and we know the Enoch Blondkin, because Matt's guys have flying and trample, doesn't really stop anything. The only
Right.
card we know Reid has.
Yeah, it's just 1 toughness. Not going to do it.
So he's looking for end hostilities, or he's looking for a really good blocker.
And it looks like it was a forest on one of them, and he passes a turn, so he does have one unknown card from Matt Nass's perspective. This is kind of interesting watching this from Nass's perspective. And
Yeah, it's super tough for that card to stop Matt here.
Yeah.
Because even if it's a smite or a kill shot, Reid still dies, I think.
That's
I mean,
right.
I think there's got to be something, but basically it would have to be something very specific.
he's got to kill 2 things or
Right.
gain life or whatever. So that's going to do it, though. Matt Nass picks up the first game here. He kind of crafted that one out and eventually found a way to finish off Reid Duke. Reid's deck is interesting, though. I think if I'm Matt Nass, I'm a little nervous. Like, that Carrier Bloodsucker kind of changes the way that Matt has to approach the game, because going shields up with Kintree Wardens and Blinding Sprays isn't going to necessarily get him the full distance. If Reid can get off to a decent Outlast-y type start where he just sort of curves like a 2-drop into a 3-drop or a 3-drop into a 4-drop, he can pound on Matt Nass's life total pretty decently.
Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, but on the other hand, Reid's deck seems to have a lot of big ground creatures. And that's kind of where the Warden is good.
Yeah, it's true.
And Matt has the bounce spells. We saw Water Roll and Force Away.
Yeah.
And we know that Reid seems to have an Outlast deck, or at least a lot of guys with Outlast. I'm not saying it's a theme deck. So from what we saw that game, I would say Matt's deck looks to be a pretty big favorite.
I like Matt's position here too, but there is a few wrenches thrown in the works there when you see cards like Bloodsucker that don't care about your blocking.
And we also didn't see anything that powerful out of Reid. For all we know, he has a Dune Blast that he never drew, or a Wingmate Rock, or something like that.
Right. We didn't see anything great, right?
No, pretty mediocre draw from
Not
Reid.
even an Obzon Charm or anything along those lines.
Right. There was nothing for Reid to complain about. Like, he had his mana, he had to write a decent ratio of lands and spells, but he just played a bunch of okay stuff, nothing special.
Yeah.
And Matt's cards lined up well against it because he had the bounce and he had the Icy Blast.
Right.
And Reid just had some slow ground creatures.
Right. Yeah, Matt's deck is interesting. Teamer build does finish off like that quite often. I mean, we saw in that game he played Water Whirl, Force Away, and Icy Blast.
Right.
Just getting things out of the way, even if temporarily.
And they all played their part, but if I was going to credit any card in that game, it would be Secret Plans.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. I mean, having that turn 2 Secret Plans, we kind of knew we were in for a ride, and
He
our
drew
seat
3
on
or
the
4
value
cards
train
off it,
was
right?
secured. Yes, he did. All right, here's Reid Duke with no 2-drop, but some nice mana. You got to think he's going to be able to cast whatever he wants after this start. And what's turn 3 here for Reid? This is usually where the fireworks start. Oh, and they certainly do here. Obzon Falconer for Reid Duke, one of the best uncommons.
And it's so great on turn 3 because on turn 4, it only costs 1 to Outlast.
Yeah, so he can play a Morph, Outlast it. It's so good. And you'll usually see people do that. They'll usually Outlast it once and then start attacking. That's been my play with it for the most part.
Definitely the standard play with it.
Yeah. there's times when you want to vary from that. Like if Reid had a Bellowing Saddle Brute here or something, he might want to attack and save himself some of the life and just put up a huge threat. But I think for the most part, like if he's got a 3-drop, it makes a lot of sense to get the old 3/4 flyer going, and also can block that that Wind Scout at some point if Reid wants. All right, he's battling here though, so let's see what Reid's got.
I suspect it'll be something like you said, or maybe he's just going to use all his mana.
I think he's got a tap land.
Right.
There we go. All right. So that's a much better play, you know, developing your board here and getting in for a couple rather than using up essentially all your mana just to get that counter and then just saying go.
Right, I mean, it depends on your hand. We see he has an untapped land, but he also looks like he has some spells. So he probably just wanted to get that tap land and play while he could.
Yeah, I mean, my guess would be that I didn't see what morph that is, but it's probably a 5-mana morph like an Obzon Guide or something along those lines.
Right.
And he wants to have the ability to play a land here that's untapped and threaten to turn it face up. Now, interesting though, Scion of Glaciers there for Matt Nass can put up some pretty nice blocks. I mean, Reid, like I guess he could have the Krumar Bondkin, which could threaten the Scion here. That would be one that could get through.
Yeah, well,
certainly going to battle.
Right. I mean, with him attacking with both, it should be pretty easy for Matt to block the Falconer. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're not really that worried that Reid's guy is exactly 4 power and he has nothing else to do this turn.
Right.
And on the chance that it is Bondkin or Pinewalker.
Yeah, Pinewalker, which he saw.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think you pretty clearly just block Falconer here.
Yeah, it makes sense. Oh, Sagu Mauler. I didn't see that coming.
No, and there's some of that power that we didn't see last game.
Yeah, so now we know why the blue's here.
Yeah. That's something when me and BDM looked at a lot of sealeds that won trials here. You know, Sagu Mauler is a recurring theme because it's so splashable that if it's in your pool, it's in your deck.
Yeah, and you'll see this, you know, I think the normal play with most morphs is that you don't necessarily want to flip one up there. You just say, sure, take 2, play another creature, but you want to get that Mauler face up as soon as you can because now it's just almost impossible to interact with.
Yeah.
Man, Nass is in a horrible position all of a sudden.
It's a sweet card. I really don't like that it has
so
hexproof,
good.
though.
I know.
I mean, as a rare, a 5-mana on Morph to be a 6/6 trample,
yeah,
that's a nice rare.
That's sweet. For 5 mana, yeah.
Hexproof is, come on.
I know, man.
If you're Matt Nass now, you could be looking at Savage Punch, you could be looking at Water Whirl, nothing can interact with Sagu Mauler.
No, he has to simply put up enough creatures to be able to block it, and we all know how risky that can be.
Yeah.
But you don't have a choice. That's what Sagu Mauler does. That's his job. That's his life.
One of the best cards in the set.
Yeah, love that card.
Top 10 for sure.
For sure. All right, but Matt's going to chip away here after playing a morph. Yeah, and the trample's so nasty because like even Kintree Warden doesn't do anything.
Very tough card to stop.
Yeah. And Reid gets to untap and go into battle mode here. He's got a dead drop in his hand as well. Reid's going to be on 6 mana at this point. Nothing in the yard yet, so he's still a little ways from that, but that could be a big one too.
I mean, when you've got removal and Sagu Mauler, I mean, it's very tough for your opponent to win, right?
No.
Because like you said, he has to gang block it, but he's not going to be able to do that through debilitating injury and dead drop.
Right. And on top of it all, any combat tricks that Reid has are just completely golden and safe on the Sagu Mauler thanks to Hexproof. That card is insane.
And Reid is kind of figuring what can Matt have here because there's a lot of possibilities. That morph could be Snowhorn Rider, it could be Rattleclaw Mystic. He saw both of those last game.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people's gut is just to auto-debilitating injury the morph, which I think is probably the right play here. But Reid wanting to think through, like, what could that morph be? Like, how valuable is it really to debilitating injury it?
Yeah. It's certainly the safer play, though, because if you let him untap with whatever morph that is, it can get ugly.
Yeah, it could be something big. It could be a Woolly Loxodon, which does stop Sagu Mauler.
Totally. I love Woolly Loxodon too, Ben.
Yeah, I like that guy.
I am a fan. He's going to force away his own morph.
Which was a Woolly Loxodon.
It is a Woolly Loxodon. He knows how important this is to the development of this game, but that's a huge tempo play against Matt Nass. I mean, that's a big deal. Like, Reid Duke got definitely enough value from his debilitating injury, even if it didn't actually kill it, because now Matt is in a bad spot. He's going to have to replay it again face down next turn.
Yeah, and Matt already going to 6 here means he's going to have to block the Mauler a turn before he can even have the Loxodon online.
That's so brutal.
When you're chumping with Scion of Glaciers, that's not a position you really want to be in.
Right. Can he do anything? Can he try to line up a situation where he can use Scion plus something? to pump it up and maybe get it up to 6 and not die?
I
Like,
mean, there are cards that exist, like if Matt has an Awaken the Bear in his hand, but I don't think that's
or
that
just,
likely.
I mean, like on a double block. Because Scion right now can be, what, 2, 3, 4, 5 power?
Yeah.
And he can, like, I mean, even with the Wind Scout, it's just so risky.
And he's gonna. I mean, I don't think he's worried about it being risky at this point because
Yeah, I
his
don't think
back's
so
to the
either.
wall.
Yeah.
But he's got to deal with the flyer too.
Yes.
I mean, I
which
think,
is also a 2-turn clock.
right. I think Matt's back is really to the wall.
He is very unlikely to win this game. Reid's pal Sagu Mauler down there doing serious work. Grown test, Sagu Mauler?
Magic players, we are currently looking
BDM
for
says
one
yes.
player for a conspiracy draft.
That was the one we missed on our conversation.
Yeah,
That's got to be the number one.
Yeah,
grown
BDM
test.
was ranting about the Sagu Mauler when we were looking at the seals. It's just such a fantastic card.
Yeah.
And it happens to be the two best colors in Magic, right? Blue and green.
All right, so he plays a Jeering Instigator face up. So face up Jeering Instigator here for Matt Nass. He's also got a morph.
Yeah, it's kind of
Is he
interesting.
going to just... What's his play here? Like, he's got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He could just jam all of his ground creatures, or even just all of them on Sagu Mauler in a desperate attempt to keep it at bay.
I think it's very likely we'll see that if Reid attacks.
So this is where, if Reid has a combat trick or a removal spell, he is just golden.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have that. I think his hand is land, Enoch Bondkin.
And that's what Reid's trying to decide. Do I trade the Sagu Mauler for the Morph and the Jeering Instigator? Knowing that or the Jeering Instigator and the Scion, you know, and I think that Reid doesn't necessarily want to do that because it's Sagu Mauler. It's better than any of the other cards. So even a 2-for-1, since he can't get both the presumed Woolly Loxodon here, we don't actually know if it's that, but it was that last turn, the Morph.
Right.
And the Scion, since he can't get both of those, Sagu Mauler for Instigator in one of those is probably not a good trade for Reid.
Okay. And Reid agrees. He does not attack with it. But he does have Matt on a 1-turn clock in the air. That Wind Scout can jump in front of the Falconer and buy him one more turn. But Matt is going to need to come up with some pretty impressive heroics here if he's going to find himself out of this mess.
Yeah, Matt is not actually as far out of the game as I would have thought. I mean, if he does have the pump spell or something to take out the Falconer, he could stabilize.
He could. It's close, though, and it's always one removal or pump spell from Reid Duke away from being very not stabilized anymore.
Yeah. And
All
looking
right.
at, we just saw Matt's hand, it doesn't look like he has any of these pump spells or anything
No.
like that he would need removal.
All right, and Reid's actually going to cash in his banner here, so he's digging. He's looking for some way to interact with the creatures on Matt's board. If he finds them, it's hard to imagine a way for Matt Nass to win the game. Matt, unfortunately, is stuck with like a Kin Tree Warden here. You know, without the secret plans, that's where, you know, you get a more accurate view on how the card performs, which is medium,
Yeah.
to bad, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty bad against the Falconer and the Sagu Mauler.
Right.
Two cards that, we saw this game. But it lined up pretty well against a lot of those ground creatures like Longshot Squad and Sultai Flare that we had
It
seen
did.
last
And
game.
when he drew a card off of it, it looked fantastic. So that's just how it goes sometimes. So Reid drew a card off the banner and has his draw step. He's pretty deep in the tank here, though. Is there a point where Reid does just decide to trade off the Sagu Mauler for 2 or 3 creatures?
It depends on what he's going to get. Like, I think if Reid could have gotten the potential Woolly Loxodon
Ooh,
more.
there's that dead drop we were talking about. He needed to hit the land for it. He got the
Well,
banner in the yard, which is kind of interesting.
This is definitely going to get Disdainful Stroked. It's not. I don't know why Matt is in the tank. Should I wait for better? I've got my mana up.
Yeah.
It kills 2 creatures.
Kills 2 creatures.
Yeah.
It costs 10 mana.
But Reid's still in a commanding position because, the Absent Falconer are eating the Wind Scout, and then, Matt doesn't have an answer. He has to
No.
top deck an answer
Nope.
to the Falconer.
Matt needed one more instant speed non-creature spell to get that Wind Scout. It's a 3/2, but that's not big enough for the Falconer here. Oh, never mind. It doesn't matter anyway because it's got first strike.
Right, but once
so-
again, if Matt does happen to just top deck an answer to the Falconer, he's not really that far out of this game.
No, he's not.
I'm sure there aren't that many answers, but some exist. He could draw the Temor Charm that we saw last game.
Yeah,
he could draw
Temur Charm would do it.
a Burn Away or a Bring Low if he has those. And he can deal with the Sagu Mauler now on the ground. So, I mean,
All
if
right,
he
here
does
it
draw
is.
an answer.
Ooh, he drew another morph, a Snowhorn Rider.
Another big ground creature, but
Now, we don't know what the morphs are. We know one of them is a Woolly Loxodon, but the other could be a Sagu Archer, right?
no, I mean it could be in theory, but I think we saw him morph it.
What was it?
I think it's a Rattleclaw Mystic.
Oh, it's a Mystic.
I think so.
Okay.
You know, our view isn't perfect, but I mean, I'm pretty sure I was watching when he morphed it last turn. I
Yeah,
think.
but we're getting to desperation levels here now.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just dead.
He's just going to scoop him up.
Well, I mean, you know, he'll probably pass a turn in case Reid wants to play around Sagu Archer, but it seems unlikely that Reid will, considering they just bounce.
They bounce anyway.
Yeah, it's not like the Falconer gets eaten.
So Matt passes a turn back.
Yeah, I think that Matt is dead. I mean, I could be wrong. Our view is never perfect up here as far as the player's hands.
Yep, he's dead, and yep, good call. It was Rattleclaw Mystic, and then of course the Loxodon that we saw earlier. So we got an equalizer here. Reid Duke kind of handily takes that game from Nass, who stuck around, made it a real game, but Sagu Mauler proved too much.
Sagu Mauler was great. It dealt a lot of damage and gave Matt no time, but if Matt did have an answer to that Falconer, I think that's pretty much a stalemate.
Yeah.
And Matt's got a lot of big creatures, so I mean,
Totally.
that game could have went a lot of different, that game could have went very differently if Matt just had one copy of Bring Low or Temur Charm or Burn Away or something to take
Right.
care of that Falconer.
That was a good game. I'm sure Matt disagrees, but... So we're learning more and more about Reid Duke's deck here. Saw those blue cards, you know, he had an Opulent Palace, he had a Thornwood Falls, and what are we splashing blue for him? Well, we figured that out.
Yeah.
So he's Obzon with a little bit of blue, it looks like.
Yeah, for Sagu Mauler.
Yeah, for the Mauler, and that may be something else. I don't know if we're getting deckless in the booth or not,
That's all right.
but if we do, we'll double check that.
I mean, on the one hand, it's probably good because then we can see what they have. On the other hand, it kind of kills the guessing game, which I kind of like.
I kind of like it too. Wow, that was the most mercifully fast shuffle session I've ever seen on coverage. Thank you, gentlemen. So let's get back down to business.
Yeah. Matt looks like he has a pretty good hand, but he doesn't have any red. I see a Snowhorn Rider and a Bear's Companion, though.
Okay.
Those are powerful cards.
Very powerful. So if he gets up to the 5 mana range, he'll be in business.
Yeah.
Here's his Blinding Spray up top right on time.
Yeah, not a card he really wanted to draw here,
Nope.
obviously.
And he does not have the turn 2 secret plans there either. But Reid looks like he's taking his time too. He's found both of his blue splash mana. Matt
just really hoping to draw lands at this point. If you're on the play with a hand like this out of Matt
Yeah.
and you can go up to 5 and you've got your red and you can do everything when you want, it's going to be a tough game to lose.
Totally.
On the other hand, if he gets stuck on in 3, his deck isn't doing very much.
It's not doing anything, yeah. Although Reid hasn't done much here either. Is this a land? No, kind of.
Kinda, yeah.
Rattleclaw Mystic will help him out though.
Yeah. Nice little morph here.
All right, so there's the Mystic. Pass it back to Reid, who just does nothing.
Yeah.
He has no white mana. Is that an issue? No. Yeah, it is. He doesn't have white.
Certainly could be.
So this is what, going to be a long shot? Nothing?
Yeah.
What is going on
And I was
here,
going to
Ben?
say, you know, you don't normally keep a hand like this out of Reid's deck.
Yeah.
He's on the draw, so you would have to have some specific cards to keep a hand like this, and he does. Did you see the 2 cards in his hand?
I saw he has Rhino.
And he has Death Frenzy.
Ah.
And Death Frenzy, you know, if your opponent gets ahead, 2-drop morph, you can catch right back up.
So does Matt have an untapped mana source? Because he needs one right now so that he can save his Snowhorn Rider from Death Frenzy. Because you got to figure Reid's going to snap it off if Matt misses a land.
So Matt
here,
doesn't
right?
have that, but what Matt does have is Disdainful Stroke.
Oh, interesting. Now, does he also have a morph he can play?
No, I believe Matt.
Because that would be a real decision for Matt, right?
Because he already saw the Death Frenzy, yeah.
And he saw it in game 1.
Right.
Of course, he doesn't know Reid has it here, but
Right. If Matt were to tap out to play a morph and leave himself open for Death Frenzy here, I would be pretty disappointed with Matt. You know, this play is perfectly fine. Obviously,
there we go.
Yeah, obviously you don't need to leave your mana up for the Disdainful Stroke because you don't care if he Death Frenzy's just the Rattleclaw.
Right, totally.
I mean, you prefer not, but whatever.
Yeah.
But like, if
All
he
right,
would
so
have,
he had a tap land there.
if he would have just played the tap land a 3rd morph and left himself wide open to that after he already saw it in game 1, that would have been a pretty bad play.
Okay. All right, there's Death Frenzy, though. That's going to crimp the mana and gain a life back for Reid, who I believe has Rite of the Serpent in his hand. And I think his plan is to play that next turn.
Right, and there wasn't.
He still hasn't found any white mana yet.
Right, there wasn't any other play for Reid. It's not that Reid loves that play, it's that he had no other cards he could cast. So it was
He's
kind of
also
a
getting
no-brainer.
more cards in his graveyard because he's got a dead drop. Ooh, a Plains, though.
And now he's going to come online.
So the question is...
Probably be a right, yeah.
That makes sense, right? Because he can't block it even with the Rhino.
And he uses all his mana. He takes out the big guy, puts a card in the yard for dead drop.
Right,
you know,
worst case scenario, he takes 4, maybe 5.
Right.
And that would be, you know, most of Matt's turn worth of mana. So yeah, this is actually, even though Reid is significantly behind on life at the moment, I think he's going to be in a really good spot here.
Well, Matt has cards too. Matt has Disdainful Stroke, which is going to stop something
right.
good.
Okay, the stroke again, and because I'm kind of leaning on the fact that Reid's got
dead drop,
essentially 8 mana towards dead drop right now.
He's also got Bear's Companion to slap down Matt.
Okay, all right. So we got a real rumble here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
And Matt's ahead on tempo too, right? He gets well, is he playing a card this turn is the question.
Well, what we haven't seen out of Matt is land 5. And I mean, I don't know whether he drew it or not this turn.
Man, that's a huge difference if he did or he didn't.
Yeah.
Like Bear's Companion here, he didn't draw it. Wow, so Reid Duke clearing away that Rattleclaw Mystic's going to be a big game here. Chief of the Scale, another white card. He's got all white cards in hand outside of the dead drop.
It's a weird spot for Reid because, you know, he saw the Disdainful Stroke last game.
Yeah.
And he knows Matt's probably got something because he left up the Monastery instead of pumping again. So, you know, Reid is deciding which spell to lead. I probably would play the Falconer here. I'm not going to be so coy as to put something meaningless out because you're going to have to work through the stroke anyway.
Sure.
But I probably wouldn't play the Siege Rhino into it.
Okay.
You know, I feel like if you play the Falconer, that's good enough.
Yeah. It's unlikely that Reid gets killed next turn anyway. Like, he can take one turn here. Yeah, it looks like Reid agrees. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, like the Bond Kid or something, Matt can't counter but wouldn't counter, or the Chief of the Scale, those just aren't impactful enough.
Right.
You know, I mean, it can't be Disdainful Stroked. And it's a pretty impactful card. So
Sure.
I think you want to go ahead and get that guy out there.
Uh-oh, is this going to get forced away? Oh no. Matt Nass, blood in the water. He smells it and he's going for the kill here as soon as he can. Reid Duke is keenly aware though that Matt Nass, well, this is actually really interesting, isn't it, Ben? Because Reid was playing around Disdainful Stroke, but then Matt Nass had Force Away, so maybe because remember, Matt could have pumped the Scion a second time last turn and didn't.
Yeah, well, Reid will see what Matt does this turn, right? Like, if Matt were to tap out this turn,
Yeah.
then he wouldn't assume he necessarily had Disdainful Stroke anymore.
Right.
Like, if Matt were to leave the 2 open again and not pump again, then he would just assume he had Disdainful Stroke again.
Right.
Like, at this point, I think Reid will be...
Ooh, he drew white mana.
Yeah, and now the coast is clear for the Rhino.
Rhino. And he even gets to play the Falconer this turn if he wants as well.
Yep.
So a nice swing back here for Reid Duke, who's looking up against it a bit there, but Matt tapping out that turn was a big window for Reid, as well as Reid drawing that second white source, so he can start doing 2 things a turn now.
Right.
He's also only 1 mana or 1 card in graveyard away from getting dead drop online too, so Matt's going to have to be aware of that. But since Matt's missed his 5th land drop for, 3 or 4 turns now, he's in a weird spot.
Right, he's in an interesting spot.
Yeah, he wants to try to keep up that Disdainful Stroke to protect against cards like
Ice
Dead
Feather
Drop.
even? What is going on?
Is it
Oh, Jeering Instigator.
Jeering Instigator.
Wow, that could be almost lethal. I mean, it's not lethal.
Is he going to have to chump block the Scion with his Falconer?
It's chump or go to 1.
Oh. But then he gets his Rhino back.
Right. But we know Matt's deck has all these ways to push in damage.
Reid's thinking. He is going to chump block.
Right.
And he is going to get to, and thanks to the block, he's going to get to fire off the
dead drop, clearing the board
here.
now.
Yeah.
Which is key, because Reid thinks Matt has a good shot to have Disdainful Stroke. He doesn't know if he has it or not, but he could from the way Matt's played.
Totally.
So it's really good for Reid to just be able to fire this dead drop off now, I think.
Yeah, this is huge for him.
Actually, the only thing is, like, those creatures aren't really that scary. I'm not saying, like, I don't know what I would do if I were Reid. It's pretty close.
But I mean, you're not getting anything better with dead drop,
That's
right?
the problem, right?
Yeah.
So you probably want to fire off the dead drop.
Stroke's pretty scary because he does need to resolve it.
Right. So you probably fire off the dead drop and get him for the 4.
Yeah, I think so too. That is interesting though that the Rhino trumps those.
Right. But like you said, the problem is dead drops not kill their 2 best creatures; it's kill their 2 worst creatures.
Right.
So you're not likely to get better creatures.
Right. And Reid now is in an interesting spot because he wants to try to close the door on this game ASAP because Matt can easily draw an untapped land, and he can play something like Master the Way and just be like, kill you.
And Reid used all his expensive cards there while Matt's mana was tapped. So now that Disdainful Stroke doesn't have any targets.
That was really nice. He found the right windows, and I think he might get a card out of his hand with the Mardu Skull Hunter here.
Yeah, I don't think Matt's too worried about that, considering he's stuck on 4 and he's got all his cards in hand.
Also that it enters the battlefield tapped is a little awkward.
Right.
But Reid's got the Chief of the Scale and the Enoch Bondkin, and he can cast both of them here. So big swings back in Reid Duke's favor as Matt still hasn't been able to find that 5th land, and it's really hurt him here.
Right. It's an interesting game. It's very close.
Yeah, this has been a sweet game.
You know, Matt, since he hasn't drawn lands, he has drawn spells. I haven't seen his draw stuff for the past couple turns. I could easily imagine like an Icy Blast in his hand.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
He could certainly have another Force Away. There's all kinds of possibilities. The only thing I know he has is the Disdainful Stroke and the Bear's Companion. I don't really know what the other cards in his hand are.
Bear's Companion can buy him a lot of time here.
Yeah, if he just drew the land but didn't have anything to win the game, but he slaps down Bear's Companion, this game changes.
It changes. The Jeskai Elder there doesn't match up very well against the Chief of the Scale.
No.
So it's pretty tough to get Elder through a 3 toughness creature.
And sometimes it's good to bluff with that guy in turn 3 or 4 into their morphs. It's hard for them to block. But you can't bluff here because with Reid at 4, Reid has to block. If you have a pump spell, he's dead if he takes it.
I've always found that card interesting too because that card really makes me want to block it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want them to get the loot. You
right.
know? So it's funny because it's like I feel like they shouldn't block, but maybe somebody's going to talk themselves into it because they're just like, I don't want to let you loot.
Right. Yeah, it's an interesting card. I like it.
Yeah, I like it too.
But Matt just passed a turn, so it's not going well for Matt now.
This is yucky. He's at 9 as well.
Yeah.
Icy Blast just doesn't do much here. It doesn't even tap all of Reid's creatures, and it's not active on Ferocious. He's going to attacks. And Reid either needs to try to kill him here or try to kill him next turn. It looks like he's going to try to kill him next turn.
Yeah, well, Reid's just doing what he can. I mean, he can't send those 2-1s.
I mean, he had lethal.
Well,
assuming Matt has nothing, which is obviously not a great assumption to make if you're in Reid's seat. So he's going to start off with this and say, well, you're going to get one more draw step.
Yeah, I think he's assuming Matt's got like something, it could be a Force Away or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
So I don't think he really wants to send the 2-1s. I think he's looking at, I'll send the Rhino, I'll make you use what you have,
Yeah, bouncing the Rhino is not a fun option if you're Matt Nass either.
Yeah.
That doesn't get him anywhere.
Matt's okay with it because he's got the Disdainful Stroke.
Yeah. But Reid's going to know.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Reid is he's just going to know that. He's been thinking about that the whole time, and now Reid has Obs on Battle Priest and Rhino.
Right, and he'll probably run the Battle Priest. Like, you want to level that guy up. The Rhino's the one that you want to resolve more. The Battle Priest doesn't do anything if not given time. Yeah, he might. I mean, he might play the Battle Priest, see if it resolves or not.
Yeah, that's what he's doing.
Yeah, I think he's pretty confident that
Look at Reid. This is a great game. Super fun.
There are times where you don't really know what they have, and we just know because we're looking at their hand.
Yeah.
But Matt's represented that Disdainful Stroke
totally
a little bit this game.
And I think Reid has a real beat on it. I think he knows.
Yeah, I do too.
And the funny part is, and this is where this is why we love Magic, Ben. Reid hasn't played a land yet.
Yeah.
So Matt doesn't know exactly what, if he can get followed up with here. And it turns out, bang, there's that land.
And obviously this is the right play. Let's pretend that Battle Priest had resolved. I'd probably just level up that Bondkin. I probably wouldn't cast a Rhino in a Matt's open mound.
I love that. Such high level play here.
Against Magic Grand Prix players, that is time in your round.
Reid Duke putting himself in a position to finally win this game as Matt still on 4 lands. Like, he has run terrible this game with these lands. I mean, I'm assuming he's on 18 lands.
Yeah, pretty unlucky for Matt. I mean, if he had hit land 5 to cast Bear's Companion earlier in this game, with the Force Away, with the Disdainful Stroke, he probably would have won this game.
Probably would have been done.
Yeah.
I mean, he had Reid Duke seriously on the ropes there.
I mean, Reid did have a bad opening hand and an unlucky start to the game. He didn't have his planes.
Right.
And he kept the hand because he had Death Frenzy.
Right.
So, I mean, he just,
Which Matt did a good job of working around by making the 5/5 Snowhorn Rider as soon as he could. And it's interesting to look at, too. I mean, that Siege Rhino's resolved twice, right? Reid's at 7.
Right.
Maybe at 1.
Right. Siege Rhino's just great.
That thing's sweet.
That's one of those cards I look at and I say, this is for constructed.
Me too, yeah, I know. What are you doing here? Are you lost, Siege Rhino?
Right about the power level of a good standard card. Not too broken, definitely good.
Yeah.
In limited, it's kind of a little much.
All right, so he did finally find that 5th mana. He was just thinking about what to do with it this turn, and he decided to make a Bear's Companion.
And Matt could still win this game with an Icy Blast.
It is possible.
It's not impossible.
Totally possible.
I mean, if Reid...
He's got lethal with it if he has an Icy Blast next turn. He does need to survive here.
Right, what Reid's going to figure out is if he can make an attack that forces Matt to lose guys so he can stay at a... or if he just has a Murderous Cut to pretty much end the game. But if Reid did not have that Murderous Cut, it would be interesting what he attacked with. Now he's out of Icy Blast range. The Rhino, like, he can just turn everything. Things have to be blocked. I mean, that's pretty much going to be game.
He's got him dead here, right?
Yeah, I mean...
The Rhino gets through for 4, and then any other creature kills him.
Right, that is lethal. And even if it was 1 point short of lethal, it would still be game, basically.
Right.
If he did not have that Murderous Cut, though, it would have been an interesting turn, I think.
Yeah, that was a nice draw for Reid. So Matt Nass thinking about if there's any way he can survive this turn, but there's not, and he has to extend the hand. And Reid Duke wins his round 4 feature match here against Matt Nass. Interesting stuff.
Yeah, all 3 games pretty long, pretty close.
Yeah.
Good match.
Yeah, that was sweet.